Byte Club, welcome. What is happening? You are listening to the 186th episode of the Byte That weekly wrestling podcast. We are available every single Wednesday night, covering the latest happenings inside of the WWE on the road to WrestleMania, which we will be going there doing some Facebook Live. So you want to make sure you go to our Facebook page, Byte That Cast. You hit that like button. So whenever that it is, we do go live throughout WrestleMania weekend. You can get that experience. We are available every single Wednesday night on YouTube. VidMe, ByteThat.com is a place where you can get a lot more information. Plus, you can also get yourself a raw, uncut video version of the podcast, including a Patron exclusive pre-show by going over to patreon.com/ByteThat. For as little as $1, you support us directly. You help us survive forever and get exclusive updates. We also want to give a shout out to some of our Patreons, including Nicole Tirado, Derek Wilson, and Tony Meyer. Thank you for supporting us each and every month. My name is Juan Velos. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And we got the whole group right here, so let's not waste any time. We got Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass. Keith Potion from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. My weather has not been nearly as bad as the weather that maybe you guys have dealt with, like particularly Ryan. I honestly didn't think that you would make this show because like I know like New York was supposed to get 20 inches of snow and Boston is not too far from that. So I thought that maybe that would spill a little bit over to your side, but everything's okay, right?
I'm all set, good to go. We got like a foot of snow, but it ended up like turning to rain towards the end of the day yesterday. I got a day off of work. That was pretty sweet, but we're back to normal today, so all good.
So cool. Keith, how was your weekend?
I can't remember the last time I got a snow day. My weekend was good. I'm just I'm laying low right now. There's the weather's still all right here. It sucks, but it's getting nicer. We finally cracked 0 degrees Celsius. That's a real big deal.
Man,
in these
that's
parts.
still insane to me.
It's nice.
Like whenever I get 60 degrees, I can't even tell you because I feel like you're gonna punch me in the face.
You're probably right about that. But it's been nice. I could open my jacket as I walked to my car today, and that's a big win.
It's the little things.
Make it a win, boys. Make it a win.
And it's a terrible weather-related transition. This is almost the calm before the storm because we don't have any more pay-per-views between now and WrestleMania. And as we were talking a little bit during the pre-show, you know, we're just 2.5 weeks away from WrestleMania, like the whole experience. We're going to be going to WrestleCon, more details like on social media as we go about doing all of that. We're not going to get to the whole WrestleMania card right now, but we definitely got some more confirmations. You know, Chris Lee's apparently going to be wrestling AJ Styles at WrestleMania, so good, you know? We thought we were going to get the Shane match, but right there at the end, Shane is like dying out there, walking to the ring. Boom! We get Chris Lee knows bests. Bests. No, just the one best. He doesn't know more than one person.
He knows best, not bests. He knows
just the
one best. One best.
Yeah, just one. I'm looking forward to the class not ass on a pole match. I think it's going to be spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
If we thought AJ and Shane was going to be huge, Chris Lee versus Shane is going to tear the freaking roof off of a building that I don't even...
Versus Shane?
Yeah.
You took AJ off?
Yeah, well, I mean, Shane came out, said that he has an opponent, and then went right to Chris Lee knows best. So obviously that's the match they were setting up,
and
right?
AJ's fired. You know, just before WrestleMania, he's totally fired. So, folks, remember that every single week, we go to Twitter, Byte That Cast. We set up a poll after Raw, after SmackDown Live. We want to get your feedback. Let us know how you think about the overall shows. So getting to Raw, we saw that this was good. This was not bad, even though second place was a 2 out of 4 at Mel with 32%. The majority gave it 3 out of 4 with 39% saying it was good. So for Raw, that is like a 4 out of 4. Even though it's 3 out of 4, we can almost bump that up. That is like the curve. Like in the class, if everybody's doing bad, you bump up that grade to an A. This is almost like the A show. So that was not too bad. Let's switch things over to SmackDown. Same thing, 3 out of 4 with a fun show. Although, oddly enough, SmackDown got more 1 out of 4s than Raw did. So like it's interesting how people perceive both shows to be solid this week, but then I guess I can kind of get what some people maybe didn't like about some of the shows. Like we already know some of the matches, and the ones that we don't know too much about, like AJ versus Shane, right? Like all jokes aside for Chris Lee and all that, we know that the matches that weren't announced were only bound to be announced. So like there's not this guessing game. There's not this magical feeling of, well, we don't know who's going to battle Undertaker. We don't know what AJ's going to be up to because we saw the writing on the wall. Did you enjoy this show considering we're 2.5 weeks away from WrestleMania?
Both shows this week to me felt like they were spinning their wheels, kind of. I mean, we got a few key things that happened, and I would actually say that Raw won the week because I think they had a stronger finish to the show. Obviously, we had a very abrupt finish on SmackDown. But now it's like, I feel like we judge SmackDown a little bit harsher because we have higher expectations for it. For a SmackDown, this week felt weak. Aside from the AJ Shane stuff, I don't think there was too much else going on. The Bray Wyatt stuff was cool and all that, but it was a little too...
But it was the Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, it was
thing.
it was a little too short, and that was kind of it. Like, so we really just had the AJ thing as the true progression of the week, and you kind of expect a little more from SmackDown.
It's true. It's definitely an expectation thing when it comes to SmackDown, and it probably does get received a little harsher than Raw, because if Raw and SmackDown put on the exact same show in a week, we would say that the Raw one is better because we expect so much less from Monday Night Raw. But yeah, especially SmackDown, it felt like it did spin its wheels a bit, minus the AJ Shane thing. Like, even the Bray Wyatt stuff was just like, oh, you're going back to old Bray Wyatt's like spouting nonsense. It wasn't. I didn't think it was the strongest way.
He rubbed dirt on himself. That was something new.
And what was he? Now he's the Lord of Lords. What, did he fall into Westeros or something like that? But
he's changing a little bit, man. Couldn't get over Sister Abigail.
It's true. But yeah,
he needs treatment. We got to support Bray Wyatt. But what I will say is that I'm not sure, because I was a lot younger, like in around 2003 and all that. But because WrestleMania is now Crow-branded pay-per-view, each brand can't build up an 8-match card, right? So I guess that you're left with, well, these are the matches, so everybody else, they can't really develop too much because they're not going to get a match at WrestleMania. Like, the best they're going to get is the Battle Royal, so that's where you get guys like Apollo Crews and all that. Like Big Show, the Shaq match, gone. Like, the whole build-up, he is now in the Battle Royal, so that's a whole nother disappointing thing. But I think that really does have a lot to do with it. But I really want to get down directly to what's happening on Raw, because much like on SmackDown, it seems like the story this week was the McMahons, for better or worse, where Stephanie gave Mick Foley the entire night to fire somebody. I don't care who, just do it. Fire the catering guy if you want it. And then everybody, myself included, was thinking, well, this is how Foley gets himself fired. He avoids the whole humiliation aspect of the McMahon, so this is how he goes about doing that. We get Kurt Angle. Like, I had this whole movie already planted in my head. And then at the end, he chooses Stephanie. And I thought that this segment was done so well because it finally gave Foley the opportunity to avoid the whole thing we've talked about with Stephanie, which is like, she just destroys everybody verbally. And then she gets no repercussions. Now, that really didn't change at all. But, Ryan, you actually had an off-air theory you didn't bring up with Noelle Foley. Because with all these things, you always have the Holy Foley thing. Like, we got references about Dewey and Noelle. I don't even know if, like, does Dewey actually work in WWE? Like, this is weird, right?
I think he might be on, like, a writing team or...
Yeah, is he the Foley that's on the creative team? Because there's one of them.
Yeah.
We are old, because I still think of Dewey as the little kid that Foley used to talk about.
I still think about Kane Dewey when I think about him.
Oh, man, now I'm thinking about Dominic, and Dominic is all grown up, man. Like, time has gone by a lot. Did you guys expect this swerve to happen, where it wasn't going to be Foley and it was going to be Stephanie or somebody else, or did you like how this turned out? And ultimately, we got Rollins, we got Triple H involved, we got that physicality, so we got a lot of it.
By the way, my theory with the whole Noelle Foley was that if Stephanie continued to mess with Mick, that Noelle would come out and she would potentially be an opponent for Stephanie McMahon. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case for WrestleMania, but that could be something a little bit further down the line, depending on how things pan out. Now, Yeah, this story, I liked this segment because you really did feel for Foley and Stephanie and Triple H is just, he's so damn good at just ripping somebody to shreds. And it was just masterful. And like
Triple H is the best in the world, by a mile.
Okay, Triple H has a huge advantage that he can pretty much say whatever the hell he wants to say, so he kind of has less limits than most. But I thought this was great because it was a perfect avenue to have Seth Rollins show up and just beat the hell out of Triple H. And we got this huge surprise because we didn't know what the hell condition Seth Rollins was in.
Yeah, which brings up the whole scenario that we mentioned, for the past weeks now, which is, can Rollins even wrestle? And even with this, like, some people are going like, yeah, he's good to go, but then look at how Raw concluded. So you can even still make the justification for, well, he maybe was storyline ready, but Triple H unreadied him, so now he still can't compete at WrestleMania. And even if he was about to, because then it's like blurring the lines, which I applaud WWE because it's not often that we do that, right? Like, it even got us second guessing, well, are those video packages fake then? Like, has he been ready this whole time and they're just using this as a mechanism to build him up? That can still be a thing. And I like that. That even though we don't have that match confirmed for WrestleMania, the road to it is pretty good. However, I will say it's odd if that match doesn't happen now. Like, considering all the physicality that happened, you gotta have that moment. And you can't have that on the Raw after WrestleMania or even SummerSlam, because for crying out loud, we've been patient with the storyline. We've been hella patient with the storyline. We need something to happen at WrestleMania, please.
It blows my mind that like Seth Rollins is like ready for some physicality but not a match, yet somehow taking crutch shots to the knee is like totally cool. I mean, granted, he had that brace that was probably blocking a lot of the impact, but still, it was just like, damn, if he's not ready and you're really taking some chances, just like wailing on that knee.
No, if he's going to take shots like that, he has to be ready, and it's just playing out from a storyline angle. But like Juan mentioned, you do have to give credit to the WWE, where there's still that like back of your mind question mark of you're not 100% sure. And it makes this build to this match a very cool build, because it's a different angle than you normally see of guy A going against guy B. You're left wondering, like, is this match actually going to happen?
Yeah, plus every other match has basically been confirmed. So we have 2 more Raws before WrestleMania. If this was just confirmed, then what do you really do? Like, this is the only storyline, plus like Dana Brooke kind of destroying Charlotte after losing to Sasha really quickly this week. Like, aside from that, this is really the only thing that's happening. Now, I do want to change now to Rollins' best friend, the big dog himself, Roman Reigns. He is going to officially be battling the Undertaker at WrestleMania. So super unexpected. This was not rumored or teased or anything. HBK, Shawn Michaels, comes out to the ring, talks about Roman Reigns, and then we get almost to see a little bit of the Reigns that we liked from the Shield when he got cocky while talking. Like we always talked about, Reigns is always best when he's silent. But at least like when he did talk, he was cocky. And even though he did the same thing that everybody else has said, like, it's no longer about the streak, but it's about retiring The Undertaker. So they basically just switch one thing for the other. It's basically the same thing. Like, can Undertaker go one more year? Has now become the official topic of discussion now. And I'm happy that he's doing that, because he's going to get booed. He is going to get booed. There's not a damn thing that man can do at WrestleMania that won't get the other way. So just embrace it. Love it, because that crowd is going to be on fire. Did you guys like that personality switch from Reigns?
It was awesome. And God, I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm so excited for this match. I can't wait to just watch it all burn down around me, just to watch the flames just consume everything. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I'm just picturing you like looking at you won't even be watching the match as we're there at the arena. You're going to be smiling, looking at people, like crying children, like grown men crying.
Yes.
You're just going to be like, "Yep, Told you so.
Oh, it's going to be so good. But, you know, with the streak gone, what more can you really do with The Undertaker? It seems like the best way to go about it. And it's exactly, in a weird way, they've positioned Roman Reigns almost like the voice of the people in this storyline, because we've been out there saying, oh, when's Undertaker finally going to give it up? Is it going to be this year? Is it going to be this year? And now he's like, hey, I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to retire The Undertaker. So it's a very interesting point of view that way. And God, I hope he wins. I hope so badly that Roman Reigns wins.
This is a yard on a pole match. So it'll be interesting because now
who's going to be the big dog?
Yeah, it's the big dog gonna take the yard for himself. I really like that Reigns said that he was aiming to retire The Undertaker, because the past couple of years, The Undertaker match has just not felt the same. And this was like the only other wrinkle you could do that would actually ramp up the intensity of it. Because once Taker loses once, it's diminishing returns from there. But if it's about his retirement, then the stakes do get a lot higher. The intensity is way higher. And I'm with Keith. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing just ultimate chaos. Like, is there going to be a riot? Who knows? But I'm just going to sit back and laugh at everybody who's upset when Reigns gets his hand raised.
Ah, the fire rises.
I'm just really happy with the situation that Reigns is at. And I'm just going to do the Juan thing. So get ready, guys. This is my Kevin Owens scenario. What I hope okay, if Roman Reigns does not destroy The Undertaker, this is a realistic outcome I can see happening. We get basically like a Ric Flair Shawn Michaels match where halfway through it's just like, just put Ric Flair away. Like, it's so obvious that Reigns is going to win.
Roman says, I'm sorry, I love you, and then spears The Undertaker.
And then he gives him a kiss at the end, man. Then we're done. But say we're halfway point, that is what we get. What happens is that he gets so cocky, he actually loses to like a roll-up, like to a nothing move. It cannot be a tombstone. It cannot be a choke slam. Maybe the triangle choke. Maybe something like that. So we almost get part 2 of the Brock Lesnar being beaten by Goldberg, and Brock goes crazy because now Reigns, unless he waits an entire year again to retire Taker, that's it. Like, the one thing he set out to do, he's got to wait an entire year to go about doing it. So now he becomes a desperate man. And this is not the first time we see Roman Reigns with that. Like, I forget, which was the pay-per-view that he went crazy at? Like, the camera was close up on his
TLC,
face, going
probably.
insane.
I think the one where he beat up Triple H.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And that was good, man.
I was there.
Like, I never understood. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. And that was so damn good. And I never understood why they didn't go deeper into that route. Like, you don't have to go, oh man, I'm bad guy Roman Reigns now because I can beat Taker. No, just become obsessed with having to destroy somebody, having to retire The Undertaker, having to do something to prove that you are the big dog. Like, justify your nickname, not just because it sells t-shirts, but because you're selling moments. Is that too crazy?
I think you're onto something, but we got that with Brock Lesnar, like, right now. Like, it would just be a rehash. It's probably too soon to have them right back to back.
Yeah, plus, you know what? If they're going to just have... Yeah, I mean, it's going to be kind of uninteresting if we just have Reigns slay every giant, right? He beats Strowman. Now he beats Taker. Then at SummerSlam, he beats Brock Lesnar. And it's just like, yep, we're going to sit back and just watch the win, watch just the wins chalk up for Roman Reigns. But you know what? One thing I do like is if Reigns does retire The Undertaker, that at least this is something a new guy, a like new generation guy, like that's a feather in his cap. I know Reigns already has a lot of feathers in his cap, but
one more.
It's something someone can benefit from. Unlike when Goldberg beat Brock Lesnar, where there was nobody who could benefit from that's going to be around for a while. So that is a huge thing if Reigns is able to retire The Undertaker. And you know what? That's at least something to put Reigns on the level as like the part-time guys, where right now the part-time guys have this aura that makes them just so much more important and so much more interesting than everyone else. So I'm all for something like that.
And I mean, if you look farther into the future, you can totally see a SummerSlam main event of Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. And is it really, like, if you really sit down and think about it, is Roman Reigns beating Undertaker and Lesnar in the same year that bad of a thing? And honestly, it's probably not, because like Ryan mentioned there, that aura of invincibility, eventually it has to go away, right? So if Roman Reigns is going to be the guy to do it, then do it, and then let's just move on.
And his matches are not bad. Like, the whole thing that people complain about Reigns is like character. He beats everybody, but the matches are great. Like, look at Brock Lesnar versus Reigns, you know, when that happened. Like, that was great. You give me that at SummerSlam. That's
Strowman
awesome.
versus
the one
Reigns
thing I want to bring
was
up,
one of the better matches at a pretty terrible pay-per-view.
Exactly.
And look at last year of like Reigns versus AJ. Like, yes, AJ is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but Reigns was able to hang with him. Like, Roman, for as much as you hate Roman Reigns' character, you can't knock his match quality because he has that down pat.
Him and the Big Show had a match of the night
Strowman
once on a pay-per-view. So if
True.
that doesn't prove that Reigns
Yeah.
can do it, then nothing will.
But I got to bring up Braun Strowman because I was thinking, okay, so Braun Strowman backed out last week, so I guess he's doing something else. But I mean, the man damn near killed Reigns on Raw.
Jesus,
like
did he
that
ever.
shove, that is the ultimate shove, which brings up, like, what do you do? Because, and I'm hoping this is not what happens, that in the go home Raw to WrestleMania, we get Reigns, Strowman, and he just destroys Strowman as a way to get himself prepared for Taker. I'm very afraid that that's going to happen because there's no pay-per-view in between. So either you make this a triple threat, which is not going to happen. That is not an option. Or what?
Well, they're having a match next week against each other. So we'll have another Raw before then. Undertaker may even get involved next week or something like that. I don't know which ones he's advertised for. But yeah, they'll probably wrap up the whole Strowman thing because Strowman's probably going to be in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which I don't know if that's been confirmed yet for Strowman himself. Yeah, I don't imagine that it's going to lead to anything WrestleMania related between Reigns and Strowman.
In my mind, Strowman is the Undertaker's one out to winning that match. Like, Strowman ends up costing Reigns that match in some way, whether it be interference or just like constant beatdowns beforehand. That's the one way that it makes sense for the Undertaker to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
That does seem like a strong possibility, but overall, I'm just happy that they are keeping Strowman involved up there and they're not just magically moving him downward. Like, he just doesn't care about whatever happens with Reigns and The Undertaker. And then maybe he wins the Battle Royal. Because if anybody should win it this year, and if he is in it, it should be him.
I'm curious, do you guys think Strowman is going to win a title this year?
I would hope so. And it's believable.
It's definitely possible. But the thing is, I kind of see Strowman in a way like, at least with singles titles, similar to Bray Wyatt, where I would much imagine that if he's going to win any singles title, it's going to be the world title. And are they ready to do that with Strowman yet? I don't think so. So I'm thinking it may be a little bit longer, but when he does win a title, it's going to be the top title.
I'm kind of where you are with that, and that's why I was curious, where Strowman seems like the ultimate contender, but just never wins the title, at least for the time being.
Yeah, all I'll say is that if he does win a championship, I think it'll be between the time that there will be a SmackDown pay-per-view so he can justifiably have the title for at least like a month, like whatever month where, you know, there won't be a pay-per-view where he will immediately have to defend it. And it won't be a lengthy title reign. I don't expect more than like a month and a half. Because with monsters, unless you're like a Brock Lesnar or a part-timer, WWE has never really done well with them. Like, you look at Big Show, like Big Show in ECW, he was awesome. But that was a whole different thing. That was a third brand. They can get a lot more creative and flexible with what they did with him. Are you telling me
that the Great Khali's world title run is not memorable?
Oh, I apologize, man. I mean, that definitely led to many great things. Right. People remember all the Great Khali matches, the Punjabi prison match he was in. You know, that was majestic, even though he wasn't really in it. But, you know, Great Khali, He had a girlfriend named Natalia who farted. Never forget, women's wrestling changed dramatically within the last 10 years or so.
I don't think those gimmicks happened at the same time, but nevertheless.
But within the 5 years of each other, they happen, which is insane. Like, Natalia, credit. I applaud you so much because
you salvaged
so
yourself.
much crap.
You salvaged
Yeah.
from that.
Natalia is like the only one who survived that bad era of women's wrestling. She made it through. I'm glad she stuck it out because she's getting rewarded now with actually being in a respectable division.
Well, her and Alicia Fox.
Yeah, Alicia Fox did too.
Fox. So it's a quick little thing with Raw because like there's not too much else to cover this week that we haven't talked about, the previous week, and we'll just wait for the rest. Dana Brooke, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, she had it. She's fed up, done with Charlotte. I feel like this has happened before, but then she just kind of got back with Charlotte with not much explanation. It seems like, once again, a weird thing to happen before WrestleMania because I guess we'll get a match there beforehand. And she got a chant. And honestly, it wasn't working what she was doing, but then there's still the criticism that she has made a lot of big screw-ups on matches. Like big screw-ups. Like Bayley, our current champion, lost to a shove down. Like just like having her head shoved down to the mat because like Dana did not get the ropes or something. So anything to say about that? That's not just, hope it goes better.
I'm happy that Dana Brooke got a reaction and maybe this is development for her. So from that angle, it's cool. But I'm a little bummed out it's happening now because in the back of my mind, I was kind of hoping that with Emma coming back, they would reunite Emma and Dana Brooke.
Well, that's kind of what I think might be developing, actually.
So they Dana goes good, gets cheered, and then goes back.
It's just turning heel.
We don't know if Emma's gonna be good, and all they've established is that they're breaking Dana away from Charlotte. And I think that they're doing this to potentially set up Dana and Emma together.
If they do that, I'm super cool with it. That's the best thing they can do. I'm hoping
they go, and it seems like that's entirely possible. Probably not until after WrestleMania. So like Juan said, I'm expecting maybe they just do a one-off match on Raw because they're going to focus on the triple threat match for WrestleMania, unless they're thinking about adding Dana and Nia Jax to this match. But we're already getting a, bigger multi-woman match for the Smackdown title. So maybe it's best just to leave this as a triple threat. We'll have to see where it goes. I'm anticipating that they stick with the triple threat, though.
And folks, it is now time to talk about Smackdown Live. And we're going to get to talking about, the one thing that really matters the most. I'm not sure if it was because of the whole weather thing, because we didn't get Mauro Ranallo. Like, we only had a two-man team this week, which honestly,
it was a little refreshing.
It was nice.
Yeah, man.
I love Mauro, but it was really nice not to have three voices yelling at you for 2 hours.
Tope Suicida, Keith. Tope Suicida.
Topical reference in the match. 1, 2, kick out.
And this is like no knock against Mauro, but I guess it kind of is that it is weird that, okay, let's put it this way. Like, listen to Mauro Ranallo at the Cruiserweight Classic and listen to Mauro Ranallo on SmackDown Live. Two different people. I get it's also two different shows, two different audiences, but the low-key commentary this week with Tom Phillips and all that was super enjoyable. Like, I was just able to just enjoy the show. But much like Raw, like with Raw, we got the physicality with Triple H and everything that happened there with Foley. Now for SmackDown, we got the AJ Styles equivalent. So the whole show, he was waiting for Shane. Shane arrives, and I was thinking to myself, there's got to be some shenanigans. No. He beat his ass down. Poor Shane, man. I felt so bad. Like, you cannot tell me those shots didn't hurt. That looked legitimate. Like,
see, this is what we've been missing for a long time. This was commonplace in the Attitude Era. That was like a Steve Austin style beatdown. Yeah, and I loved every second of it. I loved the intensity of it. I watched that and I'm like, man, it just reminded me that, God, we've been missing this type of stuff for way too long. A classic backstage beatdown. I loved it. It was a great way to just ramp this feud up. And damn, like, whether that was, I assume it was fake blood that they had on Shane or whatever, but it was just a super convincing beatdown. The only thing that really killed it for me was, we really have a camera inside the car.
Come on. Really?
Come on, Ryan. You gotta water it down.
Ryan,
enjoy it, Ryan.
It's a television show. Of course there is.
I know.
If you can't separate from that, take a step back, buddy.
Ryan,
I
may I
don't think
remind
I'm
you that the
crazy
night
here.
before, a dude was dirtying. No, on this episode, on the show, there was a dude like dirtying himself with dirt from like the dead sister or like the Sister Abigail thing on the same show, man. You're talking about a camera angle inside the car. You got to let go a little bit.
Also,
Just
the
a little
fact
bit.
that we've got, Randy Orton burned down somebody's house, not fired. AJ Styles beat somebody up, fired.
Yep.
Yeah, you complain about a cameraman. We lost a cameraman in that house.
Yeah.
He died.
They even addressed it
So,
on
come
SmackDown. Like,
on.
why is Orton not in jail? You need a little bit of disbelief going into it.
Now, I will say, like, the one thing that surprised me was that the blood didn't just happen. They went back to the segment and he was bleeding, which is huge. Like, I don't think people understand how big this is because usually whenever we see blood now, it's accidental or it's like a Brock Lesnar and it happens during, right? Like, you don't go to commercial break or you don't like switch segments and come back. Here we see Shane get, like, after the beatdown, bleeding. So that to me sold the story because it told me
That's
they
not
are
PG.
willing to go places with this. Yeah, that's not PG, man. Like, we talked about this last week. So just a week ago, we were thinking to ourselves, they really couldn't get like Nakamura. They couldn't get anything else. Like, Shane, okay, I guess we'll do the spot. Now, sign me up. Sign me up because I felt the vibes of the King of the Ring match between Kurt Angle and Shane. Because we got that physicality. So if we get like 15 minutes of that at WrestleMania, dude, I am good to go.
It's going
and
to
that
be a
moved up to like
street
top
fight
3.
or something. Because
I hope. I
they
pray.
they don't put Shane McMahon in a straight up singles match pretty much ever. So we know we're getting a street fight. That does make me wonder what the hell they're going to do with Ambrose and Corbin. Like, how are they going to separate those stipulations?
Cheers match.
Or like an Ambrose Asylum.
An Ambrose Asylum match.
On
Yeah,
a pole.
it's possible. They'll have to figure. So I'm thinking Shane versus AJ is going to be a straight up street fight, and they'll do something a little bit more different and special for the Corbin Ambrose thing.
My only fear with that is, and I say this being very excited for that concept, is when you think Shane McMahon and street fight, your brain immediately goes to the greatest match of all time. Can they hit that, or are they setting themselves up for disappointment?
Dude, he's fighting AJ.
It's AJ Styles.
AJ, yeah.
Shane McMahon
Like,
is
if it was
also what?
anybody else-
How many years ago was that? That was 2001. That was 16 years ago.
It's AJ Styles, man. Like, if you were talking about like Corbin, like, no offense to Corbin, like other people, then maybe I'll get worried. I think Shane wants to go out. I just thought about this. I think this is to Shane as the Backlash match with Randy Orton was to Foley. I think Shane wants to have that one real last awesome match. And Foley, because like back then, that was in 2004.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
2004. Back then,
Oh,
we
that was
were
a good
thinking,
match.
Foley, what are you doing?
But then, wait
what
a
is your
second.
problem going with that match?
But then he kind of had that match with Edge later on.
Yeah, but the point is that you still got
relatable
those
to the
matches.
Edge match, though? That WrestleMania match, for Shane.
Even, dude, don't kill my point, man. Don't kill my point,
Thunder
Ryan.
equals
What are you
stolen.
doing? The point is, here's the point. Before you ruin my point again, the point is as follows, and get ready for it because it's pretty good. We are getting a match out of Shane that we don't think we can still get from Shane. It's not that this is his last match, because that wasn't Foley's last match, but it showed you, hey, if I prepare myself well, I can still do that. It just needs to be for a very specific thing. It needs to make sense. I got to have the right opponent. It's WrestleMania. Like, all the stars have aligned. So I'm just super happy about that. And hopefully it gets the recognition that it deserves. I'm wondering how it happens at WrestleMania, like on a place that big. Like, I'm not saying this is going to be hardcore all over the place, but it's Shane McMahon. There's no cell. You got to have a crazy
You know what there
spot
is, though?
somewhere.
There's a stage. And that's happened twice.
Ooh,
all I'm saying
that's true.
is that I hope you're right. And
Yes.
also, how easily sold are we? Because, the previous weeks we're like, this match, I don't know how to feel about it. We see one beatdown, we're like, this is going to be amazing. But, I mean, that just goes to show how one good segment can really turn expectations around. So I hope you're right. I really hope this is something special. And I feel like you have AJ Styles in the mix. You have Shane McMahon, who's always known to do a crazy spot. It may not be a 5-star match, but something's going down. Something big is going down.
And to add on to your point there, Ryan, it just goes to show how important those weeks leading up to, especially WrestleMania, are. Because if you can, one good segment can really like kill or make a feud. Because look at like this week with Shane McMahon and AJ Styles. We're all hyped for it. I will admit I still have my doubts, but I'm willing to accept whatever it is that they're going to present. And on the opposite, you could really look at the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton feud from the same show, where it was an all right week, but a couple of weeks ago we were hyped as hell. Like, okay, let's do it, let's go.
It's a roller coaster,
and one might call it the ultimate thrill ride. But it's all about keeping that momentum strong, and they've almost kind of flip-flopped it with the two main SmackDown feuds.
I'm just happy where this is going. Like, we've had the Brock Lesnar Dean Ambrose effect, and I think we're still tender about that. We can't get too excited because it's WrestleMania. It's not necessarily for us.
They're just completely overshadowed at this point.
Yeah, I'd be pissed off if I was Ambrose and I saw that AJ Shane thing. It's like, come on, man! I can't do those things.
Ambrose gonna have his breakout WrestleMania match.
He's gonna just do dirty
in 20 years when he goes through a flaming table.
No, this is it. That too. What about a tope suicida turned into a dirty deeds through a flaming table? Here we go. We get that happening. It's going to happen.
No, it's going to be a rebound clothesline through a flaming table.
Said it. I was going to say that.
Byte Club, this episode is brought to you by Skills. Skills lets you play the mobile games you love and win real cash prizes. I actually downloaded the game Bubble Shooter and had a lot of fun with it. If you guys played the game Puzzle Bobble like I did growing up on the Neo Geo, it's something like that. So there really is a little something for everybody. All Skills games are free to play with the option of competing for cash and prizes. That's right, you can win real money playing games on your iOS or Android device. People like Mike C. and Alex H. both won over $100,000 playing strike bowling on their phone. In fact, Skills has awarded over $70 million in prizes since 2014. You can win up to $150 in a single tournament with entry fees as low as a penny. Skills has a variety of games including puzzles, bubble bursting, bowling, pool, solitaire, trivia, and more. Join over 50,000 users that have won over $100 or more. Download your favorite game at skills.com/byte and start winning cash playing games on your phone or tablet. And when you make a deposit, use the promo code BYTE for an extra $10. That's skills.com, skills with a Z.com/BYTE. And we thank them for sponsoring the show. As a tiny topic for SmackDown, there is something that needs to be addressed. That almost every week we think about covering this, but there's not much to say. And I think that alone is worth saying. And that is the tag division. So American Alpha, I love these guys in NXT, man. Like we were saying, like, screw the world's greatest tag team. This is a real tag team with real chemistry. They go to SmackDown, nothing. From a character standpoint, like the fun thing was done in NXT, which brings up a question that maybe we don't talk about now, but is it bad that you do character development in NXT and then you just put them up on the main roster and hope that everything goes well, but that's gone? Because look at the state of the tag division. I think that we're going to get revival after TakeOver, but what is it? Like, what is the SmackDown tag division aside from just matches?
Yeah, for all the great that SmackDown Live has done, the one place that they've really faltered as of late is the tag division. I'm pretty sure American Alpha wasn't on SmackDown Live for like 2 straight weeks, and they're the tag champs, and then they finally made it back this week. And the thing is, you have 2 really good teams right now. You have American Alpha and you have the Usos, and it's like it's just not getting enough attention. And maybe this is where the 2 hours this is a
Ryan,
weakness.
no, be
This
careful
is a
now.
weakness.
Yep.
But no, I love the 2 hours. I love the 2 hours, and I'm sure there's a way to fit everything in. Okay, I'm just saying that time management maybe hasn't been as optimal because one division has really suffered, and that's the tag division. So, I just want to see a little bit more. Do we even have an official SmackDown tag match yet for WrestleMania?
It seems like it's going to be the Usos versus American Alpha based on what happened this week. Unless we get another multi-man match, but we're getting a lot of multi-man matches at WrestleMania right now, so I don't think we need another one.
Agreed. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Juan, when you said, when you boil down the SmackDown Tag Division, what it comes down to is it's a bunch of matches. Be it good matches, but there's nothing really around it. And that's kind of been the story of the SmackDown Tag Division the entire time.
With the Rhino, the Heath Slater Rhino stuff was a nice start.
It was a chain of matches. Like, they were good matches, but even going into like when Randy Orton and
Slater and Rhino,
you had the story of Heath Slater and Rhino, a tag team, but you didn't have anything extending to the tag division, and I think that's the big difference.
That ended once they actually became champions. Like, once they were solidified,
they became another tag team. Like, even when Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt were there, you had the story of the Wyatt family as a team, not the tag division. With the Usos and American Alpha, they are just two teams that put on great matches. And how many times can you have that match week in, week out before it gets... Even if it's a great match, you don't want to see it because you've seen it 20 times. That happens all the time in wrestling. And I think that's been the biggest failing point of the SmackDown Tag Division. And I really wonder if like the Revival or DIY or any of the other NXT tag teams can really fix that. I think Revival has a shot because they're good on the microphone, but will it be enough?
I think what surprises me the most is that the answer is right there. Like, the reason that we don't get a lot of interaction behind the scenes is that if you're a single superstar, if you're like a Roman Reigns, unless you're, hey, former Shield member Ambrose or Rollins is backstage, so talk to him, you don't have anybody to talk to. But look at the Attitude Era. APA, Hardys, Too Cool, Edge and Christian. You have somebody to talk to outside of the match. You don't have to justify why Keith, who's in a storyline, and Ryan is another one, have to talk in the same room. You have a tag team. You have a tag team partner that you can freaking go grocery shopping with.
You don't even need to go to the Attitude Era with. You can even look at current Raw tag teams. Like, you can knock the division, but as far as building teams and building feuds of teams against teams, Raw does very well with that. You talk about those backstage segments. You get those weekly with the Club and Sheamus and Cesaro, even Enzo and Cass. If you want to knock that, it still exists.
Very true.
And it's not that bad.
Yeah, it comes down to time, is that they've just not been given enough time. American Alpha, since becoming champions, has just not been featured at all. Barely. They went 2 straight weeks without being on a show, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, I think the closing argument or thought is after WrestleMania, we should not get excited for adding more people to the rosters. I think we need to care more about the people that are in the roster. So when you get more people in, it's about, oh, how are they going to interact? Not just, oh my God, look at this match. Because one match, like once that match happens, the magic is gone. Once we get American Alpha versus the Revival, guess what? We've gotten that before.
It's true. If they leave with that, then it's already over. And the thing is, there's a bunch of teams on SmackDown. It's just, you got
Breezango.
Yeah. It's just the way they've all been built is you have American Alpha, the Usos, and everybody else is literally a jobber tag team. Like, you have everything. Breezango, as much as I like them, right now they're like trash tier. Heath Slater and Rhino went down to trash tier. The Vaudevillains, trash tier. The Ascension, trash tier. It's like,
but that's a
really unhealthy state.
It's unhealthy, but it's also easy to fix. Think about those 2 weeks where the Ascension, all of a sudden, they won a match and they were right up there. It's something that, like, it's rotated in and out with all these different teams.
It's true,
and if they just committed a little more, they could easily put somebody on that level.
But you have to think that we view all of those teams a lot lower than the average tag team. Like, they all seem like serious jobber level. Like,
what is the average tag team? Like, what's that definition? because the average tag team
it's tough.
on SmackDown is that level.
Yeah, I think we really just need to think about what a tag team division is. That's not just eventually somebody's going to break out into a single star, because that's what we've been dealing with for 15 years. Post Attitude Era, that has been a tag division. Hey, one of these guys is going to be a champion. One of these guys is probably going to be gone from the company in a couple of years. That is what it is.
Shawn Michaels screwed it up for everybody.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we are going to have a couple of tiny but big magnitude level topics now. The first one here is that Bring It to the Table is back. Oh my God. This may be the first time. This is the first time. This may be the first time in a podcast that something new happened that Ryan watched and Keith and I haven't. Oh
It's
my
true.
God. I just okay, so Keith,
It's the
you
apocalypse.
and I are just going to shut up.
Yep.
And Ryan, you have about a solid minute and a half to talk about Bring It to the Table and ultimately compare it to the first one, considering we were not fans of the first one. Is it worth watching? What do we got?
So this Bring It to the Table was it still had that ESPN Sports Center feel to it, but they definitely toned down the kind of the visceral hatred towards IWC internet fans.
That's always good.
And stuff. So I thought this was a much smoother show. That being said, it's still a little heavy on commercial breaks for a WWE network show. It seemed like they went to commercial break a lot because I feel like I said, they literally want to be Sports Center, where they'd be like, oh, Corey Graves is going to have his interview with Kurt Angle. That was the big thing that they hyped for the end of the show. And every time they went to the commercial break, they'd show a snippet of the interview. And that's something ESPN definitely does a lot. And then when they showed the interview, it was a minute. It was so short. I was like, really? You hyped up this interview? And then they were like, oh yeah, you're going to see that full interview will be up later in a couple weeks on social media.
Really?
It was really? So that was kind of dumb. But the actual discussion that they did, I thought was pretty good. It's always nice to kind of hear JBL kind of this. It's like they try and walk the kayfabe line while still kind of being off kayfabe. And so you did get some kind of interesting opinions. They did bring up the AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon thing. And Corey Graves actually said that match doesn't do anything for him. So you were definitely getting an honest side from some of these guys. They didn't really spend too much time on topics to really get deep into anything. So it's kind of like, if you want to see some of that Kurt Angle interview, just because that's the first anything of Kurt Angle really talking on WWE right now, it's worth seeing just to get that little bit of snippet. But other than that, I don't think the discussion really went too far. The biggest thing literally was Graves saying that he wasn't that into the Shane AJ thing. Other than that, you're not really missing too much.
I have a quick question for you. Considering that it seems like we've done away with the podcast, like Stone Cold Podcast, we never got that Undertaker one.
And Legends with JBL got canceled too.
Yeah, and that's bullcrap.
That was also hilarious because he was yelling about that on the show, that his show got canceled. Both Graves and JBL were complaining that their shows got canceled. So that was funny.
Wow. Does this have a place somewhere between there? We talked about, we love the sit-down interviews, but you're saying that it's a really quick, you're in, you're out with the interviews. They kind of each
get one comment and then kind of move on. But there is some funny interaction between JBL and Peter Rosenberg, so that might be worth it just for that.
Okay, so anybody that has taken a listen to it or a watch, definitely shoot us a tweet, Byte That Cast. I would love to know what you guys think about it. I'll make sure to check it out later, and I'll also send out some tweets. So now, two more things that are happening this week that are pretty big. Lucha Underground. It's officially up on Netflix, so there's no excuse to not watch Lucha Underground. The first 2 seasons are up. Ryan, when are you gonna watch at least? I don't care that this is an old episode. You gotta watch at least. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna call you out because if I can do the AJ Lee thing, I can do this right now.
Yeah. Okay, you're doing the AJ Lee thing. You didn't have to do the Macho Man thing or the Tyler Breeze thing. I paid my dues.
I don't care, man. I'm still calling you out.
You know what? I'll take this bullet. I'll take this bullet.
Oh,
because I want to watch Lucha Underground. So hold me to it.
I'm passing the torch.
So you guys
the torch over to Keith.
No, man. I've been waiting.
Nope.
Yes, I dropped off the bandwagon. Fine. Okay, Keith, when are you going to talk about it on the show? Is it going to be next week or the week after?
Absolutely not. Let's shoot for after WrestleMania.
We got WrestleMania, man. We got WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Okay,
I really want to watch Lucha Underground, but I'm in the middle of a series right now, and it's next on my list. I'm actually very excited, but let's say what's the second pay-per-view after Mania? So not Backlash, but would that be...
Well, we're not saying just one episode. You got to watch
Extreme Rules.
I will watch season 1 and 2.
I think, because they go... Is
okay.
Payback first now after Mania, I think?
Yeah, for now, until we can confirm this, we're saying the second pay-per-view after WrestleMania.
Payback and Extreme Rules, so we'll say Extreme Rules.
Yeah. So, folks, we're gonna get a Lucha Underground. You know, we always talk about the latest happenings. We're gonna get a Lucha Underground season 1 review from Keith.
Season 1 and 2.
The second pay-per-view.
Season 1 and 2
after WrestleMania. 1 and 2. Whoa.
There's like a lot of episodes of that show.
You underestimate my ability to poop sock a series.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, but I
not
think
the poop
it's
socking, but
like longer than most. Maybe not actually.
I watched 2 seasons of Game of Thrones in a week. I can do this.
We're good. So we're apparently getting another new series that we didn't even know we wanted, but we saw the 30-second trailer on Twitter, and I'm all up for it now. And this is, I believe it's Southpaw Wrestling Federation.
Southpaw
so we don't have any context.
Federation, I think. It's SRW. Oh wait, Southpaw Regional Wrestling, I think.
I believe it's Southpaw Regional Wrestling. I don't know what this is.
We're probably right.
One of those names is right, but I don't know what this is. But I want it yesterday. If you haven't checked out the trailer, check it out. I can't wait for this. It looks like a weird throwback / parody of like old Smoky Mountain Georgia wrestling from the Territory days. And God, it looks so good. Oh, I want it so bad.
Yeah, for those that haven't seen this, there is like a 30-second trailer of like this low VHS quality, purposely bad wrestling show where it's like Rusev, Lana, John Cena, but they are all playing these classic wrestling characters, which makes a lot of sense because notice how wrestlers and podcasts, they always talk about the cheesy characters in wrestling, like what they watched growing up. So it seems like they're actually just going to maybe do a fake, crappy, old Territory wrestling show.
And everybody was freaking out about Luke Gallows in that trailer.
Yeah, Luke Gallows, like, it seems like they're going to take maybe some of the stories and characters that they've talked about, and it's going to be there. So let's not like speculate too much because it is happening on Friday.
I want it so
wait,
bad.
It debuts on Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's on Friday. So they're not wasting any time. Like, this is now.
Yeah,
it's probably my weekend. If it's a whole series, it's my weekend. If not, it's my Friday.
No, I love this idea. It's really creative and just kind of playing off of just old, the worst of the old days of indie wrestling, and it's got that
worst,
VHS.
You mean best?
Well, no, I mean it's playing off of like bad wrestling in the past. It's supposed to be like making fun of that.
So the best,
yeah.
So they basically took $5 wrestling.
You guys know what the hell I'm saying.
From a low production thing.
You got to analyze every damn word I'm saying. But I like it. It's got this VHS style look, and it even starts with the whole VHS tape going in a VCR. Some of you may not even know what a VHS tape is. Go Wikipedia that.
Be kind. Rewind.
Yeah. So this looks awesome. It kind of reminds me of like something like an Adult Swim type of show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's kind of got that zaniness to it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Hopefully Sammy enjoys it. But folks, we will be talking about it.
Wow. Wow.
I pulled a Juan. I pulled my Juan.
Oh.
I don't get the Simon Dean reference, even though I technically just mentioned him now. Keith wants to kill me right now. So, folks, if you're still with us, if you're still here, remember you can send us questions every week on Twitter. Byte that cast. Use the hashtag AskPT. You can send us an email. bytethatcast@gmail.com. if you're still here, we're not going to get to the questions. Take it away, Keith.
All right, I have found my zen. We will move on to the questions. Like from
I
our first
can't
one.
use that word ever. I can never
No.
use that word again.
Nope, we're done.
Yes.
So our first question comes from Tim B, who asks, with a follow-up question from last week. And Tim B asks, I wanted to follow up on the ladder match question from last week. See, it was a follow-up. I agree with the notion of not adding another multi-man match to WrestleMania, but what about the SmackDown's women's title match? Daniel Bryan was very vague about that match, just stating that Alexa would defend against all available competitors. I believe that this will be announced as a ladder match in the coming weeks. What do you think? Would you like to see that? And also, where did the term multi-man match come from? Every match is a multi-man match. So why do wrestling fans use the term to describe matches with more than two people? Keep up the great work. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad. I never thought about that, but the moment he brought it up, I felt like an idiot.
Yeah.
Just thinking, man, yeah, that's true. Do you ever just have a single match? Not a singles match, but a single match. But you know what? Like, there's something
a joke
to this.
there that is too far for me to say on this podcast, but just know it's there.
And I didn't even think about it. So I will just say this. They did point out this week that they don't even know what kind of match this is going to be on SmackDown. So you know that it's not just going to be a gauntlet match because it's just not fair to Alexa. And it doesn't make for a fun Mania match. We are getting Austin Aries versus Neville at Mania, which... frick yes, man. I am so damn happy about that. That is the match I want to see at WrestleMania. That is the match that I'm going to be standing up the whole time for. So that is awesome. So yeah, do it. Raw has gotten all the specialty matches, man, for the women. Give SmackDown something.
Yeah, I would totally be all for this. Do I think it's likely? Probably not, but I would like to see it. I don't think we've seen have we seen a women's ladder match? If we have, it was a very long time ago because there hasn't been one in recent memory.
Not in the WWE, but I believe TNA Impact, whatever it's called these days, did one.
Impact Wrestling, which is a whole other story we can get to down the line.
F that
the
owl,
broken man
apparently.
thing is bad, yeah.
But I still see this as a gauntlet match personally when with the whole anything can happen angle. In my mind, that kind of leaned towards the competitors. Like, we don't know who's actually going to be in this match. Probably somebody from NXT that's named Asuka that's going to debut at WrestleMania and win the women's championship. But I still see it as a gauntlet style. I don't think will be like any specialty to it, especially for getting like a Shane McMahon AJ Styles street fight. Then there's Ambrose and Corbin. There's no reason to make like every match a specialty match at WrestleMania because they tried that in 2000 and well, that was what it was. But it's definitely like there's going to be at least one unannounced competitor, like one debut in that match, whether they win or lose. We won't know everybody going into that match.
I think it's left open just for Naomi, and I hate to be boring here, but I think that's the reason. And that the only stipulation I expect, again, to be boring here, is that it's just going to be an elimination match. So I think there's too many people to do a gauntlet match. If you're going to have like 5 other people.
There's also like a 4-hour pre-show you need to remember. So they need to fill that somehow.
Yeah, very true. Still, I expect just everybody in the ring elimination style.
It's do you remember from WrestleMania 20, the Cruiserweight Open, where everybody was kind of around the ring, and then as people got pinned, people would enter the ring? That's how I see it in my mind.
It's a good way to save time, for sure.
Yeah, it's weird though, because then everybody magically becomes weaker, like the Survivor Series matches. Yeah, and especially with the women, like, we want to get away from that because they suffered that for years with schoolboy roll-ups like 10 seconds after a match starts. So, yeah, hopefully ladder match.
Yeah, could be fun. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Shushant B, who asks, what made you guys start a WWE podcast, and how did you come up with the name Byte That. So it's been a while, so I figured we'd talk about this again. So how do we do it? Why do we do this every week? Why do we show up and say dumb things?
I mean, the real there's many answers to it. I guess it basically boils down to we talked to each other over 10 hours a day. Like, when we were children, and there was like there wasn't this thing called work.
Who needed outside? Who needed the outside?
Yeah, like,
who needed real friends?
Yeah, like working,
we had Yahoo.
Making money. Exactly, Yahoo chat. So like we actually did try, and we brought this up historically. Like Keith and I did like a one-time radio show, which was already a collab experience with another one, and that was the only time we did it. The TeknoAXE radio show. That's still up on Tripod somewhere. No, don't look that up. Actually, do not look that up.
I hate that you just brought attention to that.
So naturally, people are going to look it up, but whatever. And then Ryan, you disappeared away from our life for a little bit, for a couple of years.
I went into the shadows. Well, it was also
for about
tried
3
to
years.
hang out with him. He ditched me.
Oh my
WrestleMania
God.
29.
All
Never forget.
So I'll recall my events here because I'm being painted in a very negative light right now.
Because you deserve it. For
You
ditching me.
deserve it. That's the only chant I'm chanting all WrestleMania weekend. I don't care what happens in the ring.
I'm
Anyway.
happy I'm not sitting with you.
So yeah, we all talked for quite a few years on the internet and just always talking wrestling during the Ruthless Aggression era. Then my second year in college, I kind of fell out of love with wrestling and stopped watching for quite a while.
And
just kind of drifted away from these guys. Every now and then I would say hi and talk to you guys. So don't think that I completely ignored you guys. Don't get that impression.
Yeah,
anyway,
just completely ditch us.
Yeah. So then I started getting back into wrestling, reconnected with these guys, and we'd just be talking all the time about wrestling after Raw or whatever. And we'd be like, man, like, we felt like we had some really good discussion going on. We were like, if we should just like record this and just let's just do it. Let's just make a podcast.
Yeah, we didn't think about a podcast. We actually just like, let's record this and put it somewhere. Like we didn't even think like, let's do a weekly show. Just let's hit record.
Yeah, exactly. And then and the rest is history, as they say. So how did we come up with Byte That? Well, there used to be this show called Byte This, and that's what
that really comes down to it.
That's what we settled on, because as I've mentioned in the past, I wanted to call this show the Crippler Crosscast, and they
which was never a serious consideration ever.
Yes, it was.
It was not. No, it wasn't.
It was still real to me, damn it.
It was immediately dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
The funny part is Byte That was almost a joke answer.
Yeah,
like, I remember,
Keith said it in passing as a joke.
Yeah,
we were like,
and then we were all kind of like,
I guess that kind of
it's a thing. Because actually, one of the biggest challenges that we wanted to do is not have the word wrestling in the title. Like, it's a wrestling podcast, but we didn't want to have the show titled Byte Ring.
Extreme Wrestling
title.
Podcast.
Yeah. And it wasn't for like any particular reason other than
hardcore.
We like when it's just like us. 69. We just wanted to do something a little bit different. By the way, Ryan, not to just to unpaint your negativeness or something. Like, we've grown together. Like this is 13 years in the making. Like the whole WrestleMania thing, and we have gone like friends have. Like there was a point in time where Keith and I didn't talk, and like we were in separate chats in Yahoo. Like it was me and Ryan or Ryan and Keith, but Keith and I hated each other like as dumb kids.
Yeah,
like
I don't even remember why.
Stupid kid stuff.
But I remember we rebonded over the Nintendo 3 or the Nintendo DS at the time.
You guys had a feud.
We did.
We played Itadaki Street for the DS and other games like that.
Right.
My God, we've known each other for a while.
Yeah. And then one ended up going over. Then the rest is history. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in. Actually, you know what? Let's switch it up a bit. One, I would like you to ask this question from Liam C.
Whoa, okay, so here we go.
The feud continues.
Liam C writes,
yeah, it's my time to get over.
Yeah. I am 8 years old and told my dad that I wanted to write in and ask a question. Wow, that is awesome.
From Liam C.
So we got an 8-year-old Byte Club member. You, my friend Liam, are pretty awesome. And the question is as follows.
Man. I feel real bad about some of that last answer now.
Yeah, Keith, okay, like, We are not responsible for any influences that Keith may cause to children and adults for that matter. Who is your favorite women's superstar of all time? This is like counting wrestling promos to an extent, because it's not really till now that I guess they have more
Like
opportunities
career
for that,
in
right?
general. Who had your favorite career?
Yeah, personally, for me, I would have to go with Lita. Like getting into wrestling, my favorite team was the Hardy Boys for sure. They were like my favorite thing to watch, and Lita was a part of Team Extreme. And the first ever live WWE show I ever went to was a Monday Night Raw in Boston. That the main event was, which is now like seems like WrestleMania caliber, was Steve Austin and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon versus Team Extreme.
That was your first Raw?
Yes.
Oh my God, that is a
like
good
I also
one.
saw like Regal, Jericho, and like Benoit had like a thing going on there.
That's the one where Lita got clocked, right?
Yes, that was the one where they beat the hell out of Lita. I was there for that. It was
that was the one that beat the crap out of the woman.
Yeah, that was Attitude Era.
Wow.
Different
time, folks. Different time.
But yeah, like I was always attached to the Hardy Boys, and I thought Lita was really cool. She was doing moonsaults and stuff, like which in women's wrestling at that time, that was a pretty big deal. And then she also was great when she was partnered with Edge, and then she had her main event match with Trish Stratus on Raw. So she was really great, and I think there's a very good chance that my favorite women's wrestler will eventually change to someone from this new generation, like Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks or Bayley or Charlotte, just because the game has really changed. And once we've processed this for several years, I think we're going to look back very fondly at this time. So I think that answer is going to change very soon.
I agree, because with this new generation of women's wrestler, that story is still being told. So it's tough to latch on to that. But I have to agree and go with Lita. She really had one of the best WWE careers of all time, because not only did she make herself look amazing, but like Trish Stratus is probably the easy answer for this question of being like one of the best women of all time, but that's because she had Lita to feud with her entire run, and Lita made Trish Stratus as good as she was, and then went beyond that and was able to do what she did with like Team Extreme and be such a great manager for Edge. She is easily one of the best, if not the best, women competitors of all time.
Yeah, for me, I also got to answer Lita. I'll get to that in a second. Current, if you haven't, go to NXT. I forget, like 2015, like mid 2016. Just look up Sasha Banks and her heel run in NXT. I mean, I would talk in this podcast about how she was my favorite superstar, not female wrestler, overall superstar, because she was so damn good at that. For Lita, I actually met Lita in person for I forget what year. I was still a little kid by this point.
Probably hated each other at that time.
What?
We probably hated each other.
I remember talking to you
then.
after you met her, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it was around that time where I wasn't talking to Keith and I was talking to Ryan. That makes a lot of sense.
I don't even remember you guys feuding that that badly, but apparently something happened.
We hated each other, and it was probably something really stupid. But I met Lita in person.
I don't know why, but I know the hate.
Yeah, it was there, but
no, you're still.
I was not a social kid for the without going into too much detail. I was basically socially isolated for 7 years. Like, real talk, I probably owe my life in English language and conversational skills to these guys. I've gone to that in some mental health presentations and some of the work that I do. So yeah, it's like a really serious answer, but it actually helped me a lot because like she was talking about some of the crazy stories.
Poor English. No.
No, like my English was terrible, and she was talking to me about like how people call wrestlers freaks because of all the crazy stuff they do and all the stigma that they suffer, where you get told like, hey, you're half naked in the ring, and like this is fake, but then you treat it as if it was real. And she was really inspirational to me because it was the first time I had ever met any big celebrity, like somebody that I watch on my TV, that I watched in person, and I was just able to sit down with her. Now, that was the down to earth part. The worst part was me as a little kid leaving, and then all the adults asking me things that I cannot quote on this show because we're getting this question from an 8-year-old, but it requires if I touched any part of Lita's body, I'm dead serious. I had to have been like 13, 14 around that time, and I wanted to kill myself. Like I was going insane right now because like I was getting mauled by people asking about that, which, what the hell? Why do you ask that to a little kid? Seriously, that's messed up.
That makes me so sad about humanity. Now
oh yeah,
I'm
man, that was
sad.
terrible.
But nonetheless,
But Lita, yeah.
thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Joe W., who asks, "What's your favorite color?" So what's your favorite color?
What do
Based
we
on the
got
podcast.
over here?
I'd like to address this for a moment because I saw we got a couple of tweets about it. I don't hate that phrase. I don't hate, oh, we got a couple of haters. I really don't mind it. I hate it when he does it. And that's the difference.
Feud reignited.
All right, now.
My favorite color
Okay.
is red, by the way.
My favorite color, as you can probably guess by the podcast graphic I designed when we first started, is purple.
I agree.
So
Purple.
purple.
Purple is
Purple?
also my favorite color because it's so...
They're just trying to put Byte that over more.
I'm really
'cause
not,
it's our
because-
color scheme.
Purple can look like... It looks so nice when used right. Like it's... Especially in like my favorite color of like a nice dress shirt is purple. You can look real fancy in it. It's just like a nice backdrop color. And it's...
Yeah, like even Ryan, like you were here when our wedding happened. Not me and Keith, but like Nicole and me. I realized I gotta clarify that. But even the decorations were white, silver, and purple, just because purple was like more of a
Yeah, we
neutral
had purple
thing.
ties, right?
Yeah.
That's a good color scheme. I can get behind that. You have good taste.
So do you, man.
Well, thank you.
You're a good person, Keith.
I love you too.
At least somebody
thank
tells
you.
them that.
Indeed, one person has to on this planet. So thank you for the question. Our final question of the show comes from True Prince of Pro, who asks, what do you guys think is the most underrated WrestleMania of all time? It's interesting.
I actually thought a little while about this question, and I got a couple answers.
Couple answers.
One thing I wanted to mention, even though it's like I've never actually seen it, so I probably shouldn't mention it, but I'm going to anyway, is WrestleMania 2. Nobody ever talks about WrestleMania 2. It's like WrestleMania 1 happened, and then WrestleMania 3 happened. And I want to throw some love to WrestleMania 2 just because they tried something different, where they had it going on in 3 different locations, and it ended up being kind of a mess. But I want to give them credit for being super ambitious and trying something new. So shout out to WrestleMania 2. But my real answer is definitely WrestleMania 21 and WrestleMania 20. 21, I felt like so many important things happened on 21, and it was really like the shift away from Attitude Era to truly embracing like the superstars of the Ruthless Aggression era. And you also had Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels, which is one of the best WrestleMania matches ever. So great pay-per-view there. WrestleMania 20 had a lot of big matches. It was kind of a disappointment to a lot of people, but I still think it was a very impactful show. You had Eddie versus Kurt. You had a great main event, the triple threat match with He Who Must Not Be Named, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. You had the return of the dead man, Undertaker versus Kane, John Cena's first title win. Like, a lot of big stuff happened. Of course, there's the infamous Brock Lesnar-Goldberg match.
The Rock returned for WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock
That handicap
returned.
match.
Yeah, that was that the last match he did until Cena? Yeah. So tons of stuff happened at that show.
Yeah.
Even if all the matches weren't so great. But WrestleMania 21 is probably my real answer.
Because it's also my answer, because we actually talked about this a while, because it really makes you reflect in a lot of manias, like how you thought about then how you thought about them then, like, you know, when you were watching it versus now. And I think WrestleMania 1, I see it very differently now than then. I, for some reason, thought that my original answer was going to be WrestleMania 18 because that WrestleMania is basically a one-match card, if you think about it, with The Rock versus Hogan. And I was thinking, man, there had to be a lot more, but that match had a lot of, like, okay matches, like DDP versus Christian, RVD versus Regal. I love all those guys, don't get me wrong, but even then, I remember, like, I wasn't feeling that build-up. Like, I get, you know, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing with DDP. So he was having, like, this little feud with Christian. That was all right. Then we got Maven versus Goldust. But then Spike Dudley got involved. Kurt Angle was, like, in a weird match with Kane that ended awkwardly. We got Taker versus Flair. And I thought that match was bloody. But, I mean, Ric Flair bleeds everywhere, so that's not too new. Edge versus Booker T was a thing. Like, Stone Cold versus Scott Hall, man. Like, if this match was better, yes, we get the gifts of the stunner. I get it. The stunner was awesome. We got to get over that and realize that this was a match that I think Stone Cold didn't necessarily want all that much. I think he's talked about that a little bit. Or maybe he was supposed to go down another route, and this is before the whole thing with Stone Cold disappearing happened, if I'm not mistaken. But oh man, it just sucks. Like, there's some WrestleManias that you think, hey, this was underrated. Then no, it was rated. It was like right there in the middle.
Plus, look at the WrestleManias it was sandwiched in between with 17 and 19, like probably two of the best of all time, and then it just feels like a giant slump in between those two. But for my answer, I kind of have to agree with Ryan. And WrestleMania 21, it should get way more credit than it actually does. It was the beginning of it was basically the beginning of John Cena and Batista's main event career. It had one of the best matches of all time. The show started out with Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, which was a hell of a match, and it just kind of kept going.
In the first Money in the Bank ladder match, I believe, too?
Yes, I believe so. It was just a hell of a card, and it doesn't get as much credit as it deserves at all.
Yeah, because people still saw Edge as like, oh man, they're going to push that Edge guy. What's he going to do? You saw a lot of those what ifs. Now, folks, we are on the road to WrestleMania. Yes, we are going to be doing Facebook Live during WrestleMania weekend. That's not it. We got a lot of stuff happening. So that's where we've been proudly promoting this final segment to close out every podcast now called the Byte That Weekly Update. We brought up last week the WrestleMania stream. It's happening Saturday, March 25th. We now have a lot more specific details, and it's no longer the WrestleMania thingy stream. It's called, what's it called, Ryan?
It's called
what's it called, Ryan? Bytemania. What happens at Bytemania?
Well, like you said, Juan, it's going to be March 25th. Going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time is when we're going to start. Bytemania, we're going to feature tons of matches via some sweet wrestling games, past and present. So we're going to do a few of the matches that are going to take place at this year's WrestleMania, but we're also going to do some fantasy matches as well, and even one that is going to be voted on by the Byte Club.
Oh boy. So it's going to be happening, you know, it's not that far off. It's just a week and a half away as we record this podcast. Make sure to follow our Twitch page. That is Byte That. Don't forget, we're also going to be doing a live podcast with a Q&A. So if you haven't had a chance to have your question featured on the show, you can hang out with us. And if you thought we were done explaining this, we actually got a couple of the matches that we're going to get to. Some of them, Ryan, I'll mention one, then you mention the other one, so that way it's like collaborative.
All right,
we're doing things.
Yay.
Okay. Match number 1. I'm starting it off with an actual match that we're going to be doing based on the real card. And that is Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. And we're obviously going to be doing this match in WWE 2K16.
I don't know where the matches are listed. Where is it?
They're in another document.
I didn't have the document open.
I linked it on Skype, Ryan. It is literally on Skype, but you didn't click it. Okay, folks.
Right,
so
I'm
because
taking
Ryan
over.
can't
All right,
access
so
it,
for the second match we are doing, we are going to have a fantasy dream match happen at Bytemania, and that will be John Cena versus the Phenom, the dead man himself, the Undertaker.
A match a lot of us wish was happening.
Exactly. The match that I still wish was happening in real life. But you know what? Ours is going to be just as good because we are going to be playing it on WWE Day of Reckoning 2.
Another one of the matches that we are going to be doing is Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. Now, this is going to be a throwback match because we're doing this on WWE WrestleMania 19 for the Nintendo GameCube. So one of our favorite games, that's going to be happening there because that game's awesome and it doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
Indeed. And the final match we will be announcing today is a bit of a fun one, and it is the Stone Cold Steve Austin Byte-A-Mania ladder match open.
Working title.
I made that up on the fly, but the purpose or the idea behind the Stone Cold Steve Austin Byte-A-Mania ladder match open is that you, the fans, are going to get to vote on Stone Cold's opponents for that match. Now, who is it going to be? Well, you're just going to have to tune into our social media throughout the week and find out who the Texas Rattlesnakes opponents may be.
Wait, aren't we announcing the four and then doing the Twitter poll?
Are we doing that right now? I thought we agreed before the show
just
that we were going to do
now.
that.
Announce them now.
So all that
so
stuff
folks do not
that I just said about us announcing it throughout the week, we're throwing that. Hey, you know what? We're taking that. We're doing a lob shot in the garbage. We said hell with it. We're doing it right now. So the people that you could vote for, that the Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake, could face in the Stone Cold Steve Austin Byte-A-Mania ladder match open challenge could be JTG.
Start out
Kurt
hot.
Angle. Yeah, starting the show with a showstopper, baby. Kurt Angle, Andre the Giant, or the winner, if you remember back to the Shut Your Rumble from earlier this year, the winner of that match has been added to this poll. He could face Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Stone Cold Steve Austin Byte-A-Mania ladder match challenge open, and that is Scotty to freaking Hottie. It'll be fun.
Yeah, so keep in mind that depending on what you folks vote on, the game will change because Stone Cold's pretty much in every wrestling game. So what will probably happen is that on Twitter tomorrow, Thursday, that is March 16th, we'll be setting up a poll throughout the day, so make sure to vote there. And then we will announce the winner possibly on Facebook this coming Saturday. So that is a nice way to take advantage of that opportunity to hit that like button on Facebook. That is where we're going to be doing a lot of different things. Don't forget, we will be doing the Facebook Live. What am I talking about? The live podcast Q&A. This is what happens when you have a lot of stuff happening on WrestleMania weekend or before it, and then you're still doing it because it's awesome for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be real fun. We're going to play out some matches, hang out with you guys, and then you guys get to see part of a live show. So, a live show is something we haven't done before. So some other things that you guys should check out that we got going on. You can check out Juan's latest Pro Wrestling Loot unboxing. That video is up now on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. If you want to get 10% off your first crate, you can use the code ByteThat. Go to Pro Wrestling. What's the link again, Juan? Is it? Yeah,
it is ProWrestlingLoot.com. You use that, you get 10% off the first box. I also uploaded the thing on VidMe for a little tease. It's like I almost got a relic of an item because it's involving Matt Hardy, and it's an officially licensed Impact Wrestling thing. So it's like, hey, I don't think we're going to get much more Matt Hardy Impact merchandise ever.
That's actually kind of a collectible now. So that's a pretty big deal. So right now for early access, if you are a Patreon, you'll be able to check out our WWE All-Stars gameplay video. We do another Play That edition. And up now, we also put up Debate That is available to everyone on our YouTube channel. Keith and I debate over the use of wrestling terms. Is it something that everyone should use, or should that be more exclusive to wrestlers? It was a cool conversation. Go check that out. Personal Twitters, if you want to follow myself or Juan, you got Juan at EpicJC. My Twitter handle is at the Ryan McNulty. And hey, if you like the show, whatever platform you're listening to us on. Hit the subscribe button. Give this a 5-star rating. It really goes a long way into helping other people find the show, so we really appreciate that. And as we mentioned before, patreon.com/bytethat if you'd like to directly support us. For as little as $1, you can get access to a raw and uncut video version of the podcast that includes a pre-show, and there's a ton of other cool perks over there that you can check out all the details there. So thank you guys for listening to another edition. We're so close to WrestleMania, so much hype. We'll see you next week.
Almost there.